Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the online meetup of AWS Budapest Committee of Practice, COP for short. I am Fanny. I am one of the co-organizers in this community, and also I'm going to be the host of today's session. We are regularly organize events like this, so if you don't want to miss anything and you would like to keep up with the latest news and technologies around AWS, feel free to join our community, and you can learn from experts of the field. As per usual, this meetup is a place for open discussions and sharing our knowledge and experiences, so feel free to join the discourse by asking questions. You can write them in the chat on the bottom right of the screen during the presentation. We will collect these questions, and then our speaker Árpád will answer them at the end of his presentation. You will also have the opportunity to ask your question verbally at the end of the presentation as well. For that, please click on the hand raising button below in the middle, so we can unmute you and you can ask your question. Also, make sure to be active and engage with our speaker, because at the end of the event, we will choose 3 of the most active attendees who will receive a $50 AWS credit voucher each. And before we continue, I wanted to ask Árpád to please tell us a bit about the partner of this meetup community.
Thank you very much, Fanny. And hello, everyone. Not to be confused, I'm not your speaker today. Okay, so having 2 Árpáds in one session can be confusing, but I'm Árpád Jorzsics, founder of this meetup group. And as Fanny mentioned before we jump in, let me just tell you a few things about one of the main partners of this group, this meetup group, which is Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions. DTITS is the largest ITC employer in Hungary, member of the Deutsche Telekom group, and not to be confused by Magyar Telekom, as this company, DTITS, serves only international customers in the areas of software development, system integration, which includes operations, consultancy, pre-sales, a lot of different areas. So they cover everything end to end. And since DTITS Hungary is a workplace supporting professional development and knowledge sharing, they actively support several communities like this one, sometimes supporting the organization part of the meetups with providing resources, and often contribute to the life of this community as well with expert speakers from its colleagues. So thanks to all the support we get. And now back to you, Fanny.
Thank you so much. We have just a few technical information to share with you. As you may have heard, today's session is being recorded, so please keep that in mind during the Q&A session if you decide to ask your questions verbally. Also, with us recording this session, if you miss anything, don't worry, because after the event, within just a few weeks, the recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel called Clouders Club, where you can rewatch the whole session, and also you can find our previous sessions as well if you're interested. That's all from my side, and thank you for your attention. And Árpád, take it away. The floor is yours.
Absolutely, thank you, Fanny. Let me quickly share my screen then. Welcome to this session. Today we are going to talk about AWS certifications. I split this talk into 3 large parts. In the first part, we are going to talk about AWS certifications in general. Which certification to choose, which one to do next. So that will be the first part. Second large section will be about news. AWS has some great news for us with regards to certifications, so we'll discuss those ones here. And finally, in the third section, I will share some strategies and techniques that I used and use when I prepare for an AWS certification. At the very end, after about 50 minutes, so that's how long this talk will go, we will have a questions and answer section. So please ask questions, because 1, as Fanny said, there are vouchers to distribute, and 2, it's impossible to talk about everything in 50 minutes. So I might not mention something that you want to know, or you don't understand it entirely. So please ask your questions. So we will discuss them at the end. So before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Árpád, and I'm a cloud trainer. I used to be a mathematics teacher in high school, and then I became a developer. And that's how I got into IT. I started to work with AWS technologies in 2018, and I got my first certification in 2019, and that was the Solutions Architect Associate exam. And since then, I've collected a couple more. So I have some strategies and techniques that I will share with you today. That worked for me. So everybody has their reasons why they want to get certified. My reasons are pretty simple. I need these certifications to do my job. So I'm a cloud trainer, and I can only teach specific AWS courses if I have the relevant certification. Your motives, reasons might be different. Either way, we want to get certifications. That's why you are probably here today. So let's talk about what these certifications are and what is the offer that AWS has for us. AWS exam questions. Most of the exam questions consist of two parts. So there's usually a scenario, and there is a question which ends in a question mark then. So scenario plus question. The question is related to that particular scenario. Now that question can be of two types. So it could be either a multiple choice question, which means that there are four options listed. So there are four options, and we need to select the one that is the best fit for that scenario and the question. The other option is going to be the multiple response type question, which means that we need to select 2 out of 5 options, or even 3 out of 6. Now that's hard. There are other question types as well, but we are going to talk about them later. You can take the exam online from your home, or you book a meeting room in the office, or you can walk into a testing center where you will be escorted into a dedicated room where you can do the test. Either way, you need to book the exam via AWS training. If you don't have an AWS training account, please create one. All you need is a Builder ID. The Builder ID is free, and you do not have to have an AWS account to create a Builder ID. And you can log in to other AWS operated platforms with the Builder ID. One of those platforms is Skill Builder. I'm going to talk about Skill Builder soon, later. So AWS has 4 exam categories. The entry level is the foundational level. Then we go up to the next level, which is the associate level. And from here, we have 2 options. So first, we can either build on the associate level, and we can go professional, or what we can do is that we can specialize into some dedicated domains. But it's important, there's no strict order. So you can go and take the Solutions Architect Professional as your first exam. Good luck with that. So, but you don't have to go up the ladder. But we talk about some ways to prioritize exams. These are the currently available exams in each category. At the foundational level, AWS recommends that you have about 6 months of exposure to AWS services. Now, you don't necessarily have to be an IT person for that. You can be a business analyst or a C-level executive. The main thing is that you have some experience with AWS, then you can go with the foundational level. At the associate level, AWS recommends at least 1 year of extensive AWS experience. And if you've been working with AWS for like 2 or 3 years or even more, you can give a go to the professional or even one of the specialty exams. Now let's talk about these categories one by one. Currently, the only regular foundational level exam is the Cloud Practitioner. The Cloud Practitioner tests your understanding at a higher level of AWS services. So in this exam, you will get fairly simple questions. They are usually about which service would you use in the given scenario. You need to answer 65 questions, and the pass mark is 700. Now, it's important that it's not the same as 70% of all questions. So AWS uses a scaled scoring system. It's a scaled scoring system, which means that as you go, as you progress in the exam, you will collect marks, and once you get the 700 level, then you already passed. You don't need more, just 700. You will have 90 minutes to complete this exam. If English is not your first language, then you will get extra 30 minutes. Now, you can claim that extra 30 minutes when you create your certification account and you tick the relevant checkbox there. And from that point onwards, whenever you register for an AWS exam, those 30 minutes will be automatically added to the allocated time. So in my case, I'm Hungarian, so I will have 120 minutes on that exam. The associate level currently has 4 regular exams. If you are into system or infrastructure design, you want to optimize, cost optimize, performance optimize systems, then the Solutions Architect Associate exam might be good for you. Be prepared to answer lots of questions about VPC, EC2, load balancing, RDS, S3. If you have a developer background, similar to myself, and you develop cloud-native applications as a day job, then the Developer Associate exam will probably be closer to you. It contains lots of serverless questions: Lambda, DynamoDB, API Gateway, Cognito, CI/CD services like code deploy, code pipeline, infrastructure as code services like CloudFormation or SAM, serverless application model. Or if you are into systems management, you like managing, operating, monitoring, patching systems, then the SysOps Administrator Associate exam will be probably the closest to you. Services are in this exam are Systems Manager, AWS Config, tagging, CloudFormation. So all of those services that are related to systems management and operation. And finally, if you are a data person, then it's definitely the Data Engineer Associate certification, which is everything about data and databases. Now here we have 65 questions again, but the pass mark now is 720. The questions are usually more complex, and it can happen that there are 2 working solutions or even more in the listed 4 options. But here, and this is the trick, we have to find the best one that answers that particular question. We can go professional after the associate level, and we can take the Solutions Architect Professional exam. Now, that heavily builds on the Solutions Architect Associate certification knowledge. It just extends that. We need to be able to solve more complex scenarios and provide more complex solutions. Now, that means that we might need to put together 5, 6, 7 services to create a working solutions. So we need to know how to put those Lego blocks together to get a working solution. Now that's what the SA Pro is about. And if you have the developer or and the SysOps admin certifications, then their continuation will be the DevOps engineer professional. Again, very same topics, but at a greater depth. Here, 75 questions, this is what we need to answer, and the pass mark is 750. Now, it's important that if you take and pass a professional level exam, then you will get the corresponding associate exams expiry date extended if you already have it. Well, that sounds confusing, so let me show you what I mean. So let's see that you take the Solutions Architect Associate exam today. Now that's so exam date. So it's today, 2024. It's 08. What's the date today? 29. These certifications are valid for 3 years. So the expiry date for that exam is going to be 2027, 08, 29. Yeah, so far so good. All right, all good. You study hard, you keep working with AWS services, and you decide that you do the SA Pro, let's say next year. Let's say 2025, that's 0430, why not? Then this certification expires 3 years later, so 2028, 0430. But because here you already proved that you possess the knowledge of the Solutions Architect Associate requirements and you have the certification, this expiry date will be the same as the professional exams expiry date. I mentioned that I got my first certification in 2019, Solution Architect Associate. I haven't sat that exam since then, because I get automatically renew it every time I recertify the SA Pro. And finally, the specialty level, which currently offers 3 domains. Security specialty, that this is everything security, from network security to application protection. Advanced networking, which is about designing, monitoring, and troubleshooting network architectures with an emphasis on hybrid. So a tip, if you are considering this exam, dig deep into Direct Connect. And finally, machine learning, which is a fairly theoretical exam. So I would say like 50% of machine learning theory, like bias, variance, which algorithm to use for particular scenarios, classification, regression metrics, and so on. And the other 50%, I would say, is AWS machine learning services with an emphasis on SageMaker. Here, again, the pass mark is going to be 750. So, let's talk about some news, because AWS surprised us about 5 or 6 weeks ago and announced 2 new exams. Both of them are in the machine learning field. The first one is the AI Practitioner, which is a foundational level exam. And the second one is the Machine Learning Engineer, which is an associate level exam. But what is even more exciting, AWS announced 3 new question types. And these question types will be applied first in those beta exams. So let's talk about the new exams first. So the AI Practitioner Foundational will check your knowledge on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI concepts and technologies, with a focus on generative AI. So play with Bedrock a lot for this exam. AWS recommends that 6 months, since this is a foundational level exam, but because it's still in beta, there are 85 questions instead of the regular 65. So what happens with beta exams is that AWS runs these new exams as beta for a few weeks, and then they will evaluate the results, the feedback from candidates, and then they will release the smooth version of the exam as a regular exam. So I presume that there will be 65 questions in the final non-beta exam. So this exam is available from the 27th, which was the day before yesterday. So I took this exam the day before yesterday. So if you'd like to know what this exam is about, I'm happy to talk about it at the end in the Q&A section. So please put the question in the chat. The other exam is the Machine Learning Engineer. There's an associate level certification. And it's about basically building, monitoring, deploying, securing machine learning workloads. Again, large chunk of this exam is apparently about SageMaker. So you need to know SageMaker well. Moving on to the new question types. It's exciting. So the first question type, which is new, and it will be applied in the beta exams, is going to be the ordering. Now here we need to put resources, features, services in order. What kind of order? It depends on the question. So this is the question itself. Oh, by the way, I will show you some questions. Now, these questions are all from the official practice exams in Skill Builder. So you can register for Skill Builder. These questions are freely available there. So here the ordering criterion is that we have 3 inference types. So that's from the AI practitioner practice question. 3 inference types, from lowest latency, that is fastest, to highest latency, so that's slowest. We need to click that drop down, and those 3 options will be available there. So I have to select which one? The one with the lowest latency. So that means I have to select it with the lowest latency. Then I go to the next one, step 2, click the drop down. Again, the 3 options will be there. So I have to select the second lowest latency inference type, and then I do the same with the third one. So that's how we solve these questions. Now, I will only get full credits if I order each service or feature correctly. The next one is the matching type of question. You might have seen those learning tools, interactive learning tools, where there are 4 or 5 statements on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's say 5 resources on the right, A, B, C, D. And then you have to drag and drop 1 to B to E or whatever. Now we need to do something similar here. The only difference is that we have drop downs. So there's no drag and drop in the Pearson's View exam application. So here we have 2 features, services. First, guardrails for Bedrock and IAM. Then we have 5 statements. So what we do is that we read the statements: implement, identity, verification, and resource level access control. So what I do is that I click the drop down. I will see these 2 options there, and I select the one that best matches that statement. And I do the same with the other 4. And finally, the case study. The case study is about a scenario. If you recall, at the very beginning, we talked about scenario plus question. So we have a scenario, and then we have a question. So this is what a normal question is. We have a scenario and then a related question. Now with the case study, we have 1 scenario, and then we have 2 or more questions that are related to the same scenario. Let me show you an example. So this is the scenario. So we have a company, and then they have data sources, audio, text, images, scanned documents, lots of things. Now let's say that this is question 46. Up to this point, this is nothing new, because you have a scenario, you have a question. There will be written case study in the exam, at least the practice exams do that. I presume the real exam will do something similar. And here you need to select one option out of the 4. All good. You click the next button, you move on to question 47. You will see the same scenario. The same scenario, but a different question. I think this case study question is good for at least 2 reasons. So one, I don't have to read and process 65 different scenarios. Because what is the case with a normal exam? There are 65 questions, or 75 in a pro level, and then I have to read them, have to visualize them, have to process them, I have to figure out what the correct answer is. But because we have 2 or more questions of the same scenario, we will have less context switching. So I only need to process like, I don't know, 60 or 61 scenarios. So that's good. And the other thing is that these questions, different questions, will approach the same scenario from multiple angles. So it allows them to go deeper. So it tests our knowledge more thoroughly. So now we have the offer for the AWS certifications. Now let's see what we can do, which exams we can take. If you haven't taken any exam, which one could be the first, or if you have one, which one should be the next. Now there are a couple of options here. So the first option is that you can follow one of the pathways, certification pathways that AWS has. They created a couple of pathways, and within those pathways there are roles like cloud engineer, which is from the operations pathway. Now these roles can be roles that you can fill at the company where you work for. These certifications will cover the AWS related knowledge that are necessary for that role, from the junior to the senior level. So that's one option. I can actually show you this PDF document here. I will share the link of this PDF document at the end. So this document contains the pathways. So you see that we have architectures and solutions architect, application architect roles with the relevant certification. We have data, development, operations, DevOps, security, networking, AI. So depending on your role or depending on your interest, this is one option to select the first or the next certification. The other option is to collect feedback from people who have a similar background to you. Now, this is my list of certifications with my background. So I found the Cloud Practitioner exam the easiest and the SA Pro the hardest. But because I have a developer background and I basically work with Lambda, API Gateway, DynamoDB almost every day, I found the Developer Associate exam relatively easy, easier than the Solutions Architect Associate. But if you are a SysOps administrator, then you might have a different order of difficulty for certifications. So this is another option. Again, this list is subjective. This is my list, and feel free to disagree and don't take this as a recommendation. So we already selected the exam. Now let's see how we can prepare for that. Now those techniques and strategies that I share here work for me. So this is the mandatory disclaimer. So they might not work for you. So they work for me with my experience, with my personality. So take them, try them. If they don't work, don't apply them. So that's the little small letter warning, which is always mandatory. So first, I like to know the foundations. So when I prepare for a certification I haven't done yet, I like to read the exam guide. Let me show you one. So this one here is the official page, certification page, and there are 12 certifications. We already talked about them. And if you click on that card here, so this one, that will lead you to the certification specific page. If we scroll down the prepare parts, there's a link here, review the exam guide. So if we click that, we get to another PDF document. Now that's 23 pages. I'm not going to go over this. So you will see everything that you need to know. So you will see that there are 4 domains. So this is what the exam is focusing on. So security, resiliency, performance, and cost optimization. This is what the Solutions Architect Associate exam is about. Now I quickly scroll down to the end, and these are the services that can be in the exam. Now, it does not mean that they will be all in the exam. No way. AWS says more than 300 services. Now it's listed at least 80, so not all of them will be in the exam. But I like to know the most important ones and the most important features of those services. I also like to know some of the basic facts. For example, DynamoDB read capacity, write capacity units, or the Lambda timeout. Why? Because we can get a question like this. So we want to know the Lambda timeout. So for example, we have a question like we are running a workload that goes for 30 minutes. Now, one of the 4 options is going to be create a Lambda function and use that. Can I use a Lambda function for a workload that runs for 30 minutes? That is, will a Lambda function run for 30 minutes? Yeah, I got 15 minutes, exactly. So the Lambda function timeout is 15 minutes. So I already rule out that incorrect answer. So Lambda timeout is 15 minutes. So I want to know some of those basic facts as well. I also like to have some structured learning plan. I like to know where to start, where to finish my study. We already talked about exam guides, and then the next is the exam prep courses and learning plans that are available in a Skill Builder. So Skill Builder has a free and a paid option. The paid option is different because you can get managed labs, so you don't have to use your AWS account. So they are all managed, and there are cloud quests and games and full-length practice exams. The free plan, you can still get useful courses plus practice exams, but they are not full-length. They contain like 15-20 questions, depending on the exam. Now, these exam prep courses go over each domain one by one, and they will tell you what you need to know. A more enhanced, extended version of that is the learning plan. Now, these learning plans contain courses, video and audio courses that will walk you through the services and features that you need to know. And of course, there are third-party content creators. They also create great courses. I'm a visual person, so when I read something, I might not understand it for the first time. So what I want to do, I want to draw it. I want to see arrows and boxes, and just I need to see it so that I can learn it. Also, I want to experience it. So I do the labs in Skill Builder, or if you have the paid subscription, which is I think $29 per person for individuals per month. Or if you don't want to do that, you can still do practical exercises, because AWS has free workshops. And those free workshops are available on the internet, but you need to use your own AWS account for that. And sometimes I make up my own exercises. I remember that I did that when I prepared for the networking exam. I couldn't really find good sources for networking. I mean, practical sources, but it might have changed since then. So what I did is that I made up some scenarios, and I just started to put the solution together in my account. Okay, it's not working, so how do I make it work? So I do that sometimes. We already talked about practice exams. They are very useful, but my experience is that If I get more and more experienced, I need them less and less, but they are still useful, very useful. What I expect from a practice exam is that it should mirror the difficulty level of the actual exam. So, for example, if the practice exam contains a question that has a length of 1 line and then 4 short options, and then the real exam has a 5-line question and then 4 times 3 lines, now then, yeah, so that practice exam is not good in my opinion. Skill Builder has, as I mentioned, good practice exams as well as Tutorials Dojo. Now, Tutorials Dojo is created and managed by fellow community builder John Bonso. They are great practice exams. I sometimes study for multiple exams or group exams together, let's say. Why? Because the exams domains usually overlap. Let me give you an example. So let's say that I study for the Solutions Architect professional exam. I study very hard. It goes well. I pass the exam. All good. But because I prepared for the Essay Pro, I already covered about 65–70% of the security specialty concepts. The same with the advanced networking. So what I do is that I just take the missing 30–35 questions, I study them, and I book the next exam fairly close to the previous one. What does it mean? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever my schedule allows. But I don't want to wait years. I don't want to have 2 years between them. Why? Because I might need to restudy certain concepts. Because if I don't use it, I lose it. You might be lucky because you work with, 300 AWS services every day, then yeah, it doesn't really matter. But for the rest of us, it's useful to learn something and group the missing knowledge around that core knowledge, and this way you can do multiple exams basically easier. Okay, so we selected the exam and we are on the exam day, so let's see what happens. I'm an early person, so I usually book my exams for 8:30 a.m. It means that I can check in, I can start the check-in process at 8 a.m. What do I need to do? I need to take a photo of my ID, need to do a system check online, have to take a photo of my desk, front, back, left, right, and then I have to upload these images, and if everything goes well, then the proctor who supervises my exam will call me up via my computer. I have to show my desk around, so I have to clean my desk, so calendar, children's photo, pens, just looking around my desk quickly. I have to put them away because my desk should be clean. Then I start the exam. It's very important that the camera must always see me. So I cannot go outside of the camera's view. I might not leave the room. So I can't go to the bathroom during the exam. I can't drink, I can't eat. I have to show my wrists to the proctor so that I'm not wearing a watch. Now, what is interesting, maybe funny, but it's true, that our mouth should not be moving. So I sometimes do that. So I just read the question. I don't read it out loud, but my mouth is moving. Don't do that. Don't do that, because the proctor thinks that you have something in your ear, and then you are asking for help. So your mouth should not be moving. So again, don't forget to have your ID. Go to the bathroom. Turn off your mobile phone. Very important. Your mobile phone should be out of reach the entire time of the exam, but turn it off. if the proctor hears that your mobile is ringing, they can suspend your exam. I heard stories where that happened. It's always a nightmare. If you use multiple screens, multiple monitors attached to your laptop, then disconnect them. You are allowed to use one screen only. If you have children especially, tell your family, do not disrupt you. So if the proctor sees someone coming in the room, someone walking past behind you, you can get suspended from the exam. So I have these A4 sized copy papers, or print papers, outside on my door. Don't disturb. Entry is forbidden. Even more, I put a chair before the door so that nobody can come in. So the exam has started, everything goes really well, we are acing the exam until we get to a question that we can't answer. There are always questions in the exam that I personally can't answer. Doesn't matter how hard I study for an exam, there are always questions that I can't answer. Now, in those situations, I use the backdoor technique, so I go to the house through the back door, which means that I eliminate the obviously incorrect options. So let's say that option A is something silly. So I don't know, for example, use CloudWatch to encrypt the data, something like that. Option D is obviously incorrect. So I've left with two, B and C. I can't really decide which one is the correct. So in this case, I usually listen to my instincts. So I usually go with the first choice, and I just mark that, and then I mark the question for review. There's a button up here in the exam app, mark the question for review. When you go over the 65 questions, then you will be redirected to the dashboard page. And on the dashboard page, you will see the 65 questions listed. And the questions that you marked for review will be highlighted. So you can go straight to that question immediately. So you don't have to go over from question one again. And then I go over that question for the second time. So do I have a better option than the one that I marked as correct? No. Okay, remove mark for review from there. Next one. Do I have a better choice? Can't decide. Okay, move on to the next one. So it's like a funnel. And in the end, I will have all questions answered. So I don't want to spend much time on each question because we don't have much time for one question. And 2.5 minutes at the specialty and the professional level is very tight, very tight. Now it's not like that, so don't imagine that okay, associate level is 2 minutes, okay, so 1 minute 58, still working on a question, 2 minutes, boom, bang, move on to the next one. No, there are questions that I can answer like in 20 seconds because I know the same. I simply just know that question. There are multiple questions like that. Then I accumulate some time. So sometimes I spend 3-4 minutes on one question, only if I have a time accrued before. Even more, what I sometimes do is just, I just take a break, 2-3 minutes. I'm not standing up, I'm not walking away, I'm just looking out of my head or close my eyes because my brain is already tired around question 50. So I just take a bit of break, but only if I have time. Now, let's see why this is important. So this question is from the Solutions Architect Professional practice exam. And I get to this question. This is question 50. I already had 49 questions like this. I don't want to do that. I want to go home, and I don't care about this whole thing at all. So let's what happens if I don't have a specific strategy for questions like this. Start reading the question. Company has grown significantly and has acquired several small companies. Number 3, sentence number 4, sentence number 5. Here I already forgot the first 2 sentences. Number 6, 7, 8. 8 sentences. Now this is just a scenario plus question. But because I already forgot the first few sentences, okay, what was at the beginning of the scenario? So let's read it again. So I read the question again, and it's 1.52 minutes already gone by just reading the question. And we have 2 minutes 24 seconds for one question. And then we haven't considered the answers. So I start reading. Invite each individual AWS account. Oh, that's long. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Decommission, blah, blah, blah. See, decommission. Oh, I've already seen that. But oh, wait, this is very similar to the previous one. And the invite each individual. Oh, okay, I've seen that before. But okay, what was that? Option A. Go back to it. And then, yeah, easily spend 3-4 minutes on one question. So for that, I use a technique that I call simultaneous reading. This is not, I did not invent this technique, and I know that others use that, but I will demonstrate this to you. But first, I want to filter out the most important pieces of information from the question. So when I start reading, a company has grown significantly and has acquired several small companies. I don't care about that. I don't care about how the company has grown. At question 50, I don't really care. What I care about is that they use control tower with organizational units. And at that point, I start visualizing that in my head. So, okay, we have control tower and we have organizational units, OUs. So I presume their accounts are somewhere here under the organizational units. So far, so good. Then acquired companies have several separate AWS accounts each. So we have separate AWS accounts. And what we want is that we want them under common governance. So, and at this point, I think that, okay, it would be awesome if we could just move these accounts into the existing organization. Now, I know that we can do that with control tower, but let's read the options that we have. So A and D are very similar. So what I do is that I sit back and I start reading these questions at the same time. And soon, my eyes will spot the difference. And the difference comes here, after 3.5 lines. It says, create one OU for each account. Okay, so what do we have to do? Least operational effort. Now, least operational effort means basically least amount of work, right? But do I need one OU for each account? Probably no. So at this point, this option is suspicious to me. If you read that from this point onwards, that's going to be the same. So it's very sneaky. The only difference is those 6 words. Then I do the same with the other 2. Again, the difference is that custom landing zone, new landing zone, using AWS organizations. But wait, do I want to downgrade from control tower? Control tower is an abstraction over organizations. Do I want to lose all of those features? Probably no. So again, that's questionable. And here, decommission the existing control tower landing zone and create a new landing zone. Now, the funny thing is that this is a working solution. It works. This is correct solution. Sorry, this is not the correct solution, but this is a working solution. But I need to use the least amount of work. So why do I need a new landing zone? Because I already have an old existing landing zone. So I will mark that as a correct answer. So if everything goes well, this whole thought process will go in about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And this way I still have time to just go back to some questions later. So unfortunately we have to apply techniques like this at higher levels. Okay, so we took the exam, it's all great. Then in theory we need to wait 5 business days to get the results, but my experience is that it's there within 24 hours. So even better, sometimes just 3-4 hours later I get the email that I passed or failed. When you pass an exam, you get a coupon. So you will get a coupon that you can use when you book your next exam, and you can get the next exam at half price. So what you can do if you haven't done any AWS exams yet is that you do the cloud practitioner first. You pass the exam, you pay the full price, but that's the cheapest. Then if you pass, you will get a 50% off coupon. Then you study diligently, and then you do the Solutions Architect Associate, for example, or any other Developer Associate, whatever. You pass that exam, and you get another 50% coupon. Use that to book the Developer Associate exam. You pass that, you get another 50% coupon. So this way, you can chain them up, and basically you can get all AWS exams at half price, except the first one, of course. Okay, and these are the resources that I mentioned. So the certifications page down through the workshops. So that's all from me. So it's 48 minutes, 48 seconds. So let's go to the Q&A questions. Now I saw that there were a lot of questions in here. So let's see. All right. So, hello, could you please elaborate on the new certs AWS released recently? Share some resources for AI practitioner and ML associate exams. Okay, great question. We covered that partly. So the resources that are used are in Skill Builder. So they are in Skill Builder. For the AI practitioner, this is what I did the day before yesterday. I used the enhanced learning plan. Enhanced learning plan for AI practitioner. And that enhanced learning plan exists for the machine learning engineer associate exam as well. So these ones contain courses, video and text courses. If you pay for Skill Builder, that's going to be labs, Cloud Quest, so you can play games, and practice exams as well. So these learning plans are pretty good in my experience. Hope that answers your question. Next one, Árpád, what is your opinion on the Skill Builder subscription? A few years earlier, it was more basic, but nowadays, with all the advanced sessions, the LAMP opportunity seems really great. Does it worth the price? I have a Skill Builder subscription, so I pay for it. So I pay the $29 for that, especially when I'm in a study phase. So let's say if I go for I don't know, a vacation for 2 months, it's not going to happen. But you get the point. If I don't use Skill Builder for a longer time, I simply just cancel the subscription and I resubscribe again when I know that I need something. So yeah, I use it myself. I pay for it. So I think it's worth it for me. So I think it's worth trying it out, definitely. Okay, so next question. I'm starting my preparation of a DevOps engineer professional exam. Do you have any tips for this exam? Mixing Pomodoro. Yep, that's a great technique. I use that myself with Feynman techniques, doing exam practice first, understand. Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. I have a similar approach. I want to optimize the understanding of topics and exam domains. AWS trainer, do you have any opinions about this mix? Yeah, I think that approach is great. And yeah, so for the DevOps Pro, just prepare basically with the topics that you studied for the developer and SysOps admin, but at a greater depth. So, for example, you need to know. Just a quick example. You need to know CFN init, CFN hub for the DevOps Pro. Be familiar with the CI/CD services at a greater depth. So that's all I can say. I mean, the methods, the techniques that you use, yeah, they are, I think, really good. I use them myself. What is your experience with AWS Cloud Quest? How useful is it in preparing for the exam? Okay, I'm not going to be popular. I don't really like games, so I myself don't use that. So I don't know. I can't answer this question because I don't have any experience with that. Those who use it say good things about it. I think it's worth trying, Norbert, and then see how it goes for you. Okay, next question. Is there any paid training prerequisites, or we can jump to the exam directly? No. You can just book the exam and do it. That's entirely possible. You don't have to take any courses. AWS recommends some resources to go over just to ensure that you are prepared for the exam, but there are no prerequisites at all. Next one. A few years ago, I always received a free AWS practice test when I cleared one AWS exam. Do you know what happened to these free AWS practice tests? Yes, indeed, there was a program like that, and then afterwards or before that, I don't know. You have to pay for those, but now they are all merged into Skill Builder. So if you register and create an account in Skill Builder with the Builder ID, then you will have access to these practice exams for free. So they contain 10, 15, 20 questions. And I think that was the one that we received years ago. But correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I know, they moved it under Skill Builder. What means associate? I'm not familiar. Associate is just a category. So AWS called that as an associate. So there's the foundational level that comes first. So we have the foundational level, then the associate, and then finally the professional and the specialty level. Associate is just a category. Okay, I'm planning for AI practitioner next month. Your advice will definitely be helpful. Okay, let me know if you need to know more about that. Yeah, so my experience about the exam. So let's talk about that quickly. I took that exam day before yesterday, and it was harder than I expected. I think it's more like an associate level, so a higher level exam in terms of difficulty, but that's just my opinion. There are a lot of questions about generative AI, especially Bedrock, large language models, foundation models. A few questions about general machine learning concepts like precision or overfitting, underfitting, but very few. The complexity of the questions again reminded me of the associate level. So there were quite a few questions that were quite long, and the options, the answer options were also fairly long. But yeah, I got the which service to use questions like that as well. So don't get me wrong, those questions were there too, but to me that was harder than I expected. So if you go over that enhanced learning plan, then don't be surprised, because the official practice exam that you find in SkillBuilder will be probably easier than the real exam. But this is still in beta, so that might be the reason. The real exam, when they release it for the public, I mean as non-beta, might be easier. I don't know. But you will get 2 badges if you pass the exam by still beta. So great thing, you can share it on LinkedIn, it's always good. I hope that answers your question. All right, next question. I'm a data engineer intern, AWS certified, will increase to get a job in my company. Can you able to give me preparation guide for that? Yeah, I haven't done the data engineer associate exam, so I can't really tell you anything about that. What I heard is that it's really data focused and it's not easy. But if I get there to do that exam, I will again use the enhanced learning plan in SkillBuilder. So I will use that. If something doesn't make sense to me, yeah, I go to the documentation. AWS documentation it has to be heavy. So as I mentioned in the talk, I tend to draw diagrams if I just don't understand it. It helps me understand that. So if you think that will help you in your career, yeah, that's awesome to hear. So that's why I can tell you about that. Next question. Hi, which materials or tutors do you advise to take instead SkillBuilder? Okay. I used earlier. So earlier I used Adrian Cantrell's materials. He's really good. So I use them. So he has great courses. I don't have any experience with others. Other than that, I watch YouTube videos on the particular topic if I need some more clarification. The reInvent videos are quite good. They are long, 45-50 minutes long, but they are quite good. I read that AWS SysOps exam is used to have hands-on part in the exam, but now it does not, unfortunately. Do you know if AWS has or plan to have any exams which test my practical AWS skills? Thanks. Yeah, I think I agree with you. That was a great addition to the SysOps administrator exam. They removed it for some reason. Currently what I know is that now they have those 5 question types, the 2, multiple response and multiple choice, and the 3 new types of questions. So as far as I'm aware, they don't have any lab planned for the exam. But again, I'm not an insider, so I don't work for AWS, so I don't have any information about that. But I haven't heard anything about that. These new question types, yeah, so they are here to test our knowledge more thoroughly, because with the multiple choice questions, as I've mentioned in the talk, we can rule out the incorrect options. So yeah, I know that 3 out of the 4 is totally nonsense. Then yeah, obviously the 4th one will be the correct answer. But with the new question types, that's not the case. So that's what they are trying now. I don't know anything about practical exams, but I agree with you. It was great. I love that. Next one, basic principle question. Can one take advantage somehow of the certifications and skip interview and examination during interview for a job? What is the general idea about these aspects? Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I don't know. I could never skip an interview because I had AWS certifications. It's true that it helped me get interviews, but I never skipped interviews because of certifications. It would be great though, so that would be great. If I bump into a very tricky AWS exam question when preparing for the exam, or I had one in the exam, I'm really curious about what is the best forum where you can ask professional AWS experts who are also proficient at providing proper answers with explanations for these tricky questions. Okay, there's a forum called Repost. Repost.aws. AWS employees and experts are present on this forum, so you can ask your questions there. But if you go with specific exam questions, you might not get an answer. The thing is that when you do an exam, you are under NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So you are not, so you should not disclose any exam questions, and AWS won't tell you the correct answer. The correct answers are present in the practice questions. If you do practice questions, then the answers will be there. But I'm not aware of anything, something like that, with real exam questions. But yeah, I regularly read repos at AWS if I get stuck on a particular issue that I can't get help. So regularly get there. What are the general conditions for the exam? Is it on premise at Proctor? Yeah, so you can do it online, or you can go to a testing center. So these two options. If you go to a testing center, there are a couple of testing centers in Budapest as well. Then they usually have a separate room, which is distraction-free, but it's still proctored, it's still online proctored exam. So you still need to chat and talk to the remote proctor. The only difference is that you are at a specific location, which ensures that your desk is clean, and then you don't have any bags with you, you don't have your mobile phone, etc. So that's basically the difference, but the procedure is the same. I'm not aware of anything that you can do the same on premise. Please let me know if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard of it. Could you please answer 2 questions? Is AWS database specialty exam retired? Yes, you cannot take that anymore. Is certificates expiring, their prolongation also valid for case developers security specialty? I don't think so. If you do the DevOps Pro, then you get the developer. So the DevOps Pro, so DevOps engineering professional, that will be the continuation for the developer and the sysops admin. So you can get those extended, but I don't think that you can get the developer if you do the security. Security is part of every exam, by the way. So your question is absolutely correct, but I don't think that this is the case with the security. I would like to hear more about how AI practitioner exam questions are, with some sample questions. As it is new exam, you passed it on day 1. Congratulations for that. Thank you very much. I think I have answered that question. Please let me know if you have any other questions about that. My sysops will expire in February 6. Can I move to DevOps even without it? You mean without recertifying for sysops? If that was the question, then yes, you can. You can do that. Absolutely. So that's also possible. Okay, so these are I think I've answered all questions. Are there any more questions before we hand out the vouchers? Please, how can I have the recordings? Yeah, so it will be shared.
Yeah, we are going to upload it to our YouTube channel. Let me just share the link in the chat. Yeah, after the event, we need just a few weeks, and it will be available also all the previous sessions as well.
And thank you very much for being here, and thank you so much for asking so many great questions. I really appreciate that you were here. And I hope that we see each other in a next meetup or at another event. So thank you again, and have a great day, everyone.
Let me thank you, Árpád, for the insightful presentation, and also thanks everyone for participating in the audience. We are to send the private messages in the chat, those who received these vouchers. So please, please stay in the webinar until you receive them. It contains the next steps how to claim your credit voucher. Yeah, and also don't forget to join the AWS Budapest COP community so we can meet again. And remember, the recording of this meetup will be available on the CloudOS Club YouTube channel in a few days. So yeah, thank you again and have a really lovely afternoon, everyone. Bye.